What's going on, future millionaire? Welcome back to Tycoon Talk. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the things that set millionaires apart from the rest, right? So we're going to cover some of the millionaire statistics along with some of their habits, and perhaps you might want to try and implement a few of these. Becoming a millionaire takes hard work and a solid financial strategy. However, it is more achievable than you might think. So if you aspire to become a millionaire, stick around to the end of this video. I did a ton of research and reviewed a bunch of surveys when it comes to millionaire statistics and their habits to make sure that I'm presenting, some of the most accurate information that's out there. And it was extremely shocking, but not shocking at the same time, right? Because when it comes to building wealth, there's a proven formula for that, and there are some things that you'll see as a common theme. But some of these statistics were also really like an eye-opener, and I'm pretty sure some of them will be an eye-opener for you as well. Part of the surprise is really the fact that, we kind of think in our head what the numbers and the data really is, and then based on what we see on social media, we assume that what we see on social media is actually reality of what the real millionaires in the world really looks like, and it is the furthest thing from the truth. So you're gonna get a lot of insight from this, and like I said, if you aspire to be a millionaire someday in your lifetime or build wealth for the next generations, make sure that you take a few notes and you practice some of these. So for starters, we're gonna look at millionaires by race and ethnicity, right? Meaning background. First statistic is that 76% of the millionaires in the United States are white. And by white, I'm not talking about Latino/Hispanic background. I'm talking about just pure white Caucasian. And within that white Caucasian population in the United States, 60% of the population makes up that white cohort, right? And so 76% of the millionaires inside the US right now currently are white. Now, this may not be shocking given the history of the United States and whether it's access, whether it's some of these challenges that we've had to navigate up to now, but it is shocking to see that it is such a high number, which means it only leaves room for really, a good 24% of millionaires is every other background. Inside that remaining 24% of millionaires in the US, 8% of that are black, which is kind of wild because the black population inside the United States is literally 14%. Another 8% of millionaires are Asian. And the craziest thing is the Asian population only makes up 6% of the US population, right? So they are actually killing it from a statistical standpoint. They're really crushing it. The other remaining 7% is really your Hispanic background, your Latino, that makes up that cohort. So when you think about it, of course, if whites are 60% of the US population, yes, it's gonna make sense that chances are they're gonna have more, higher percentage in terms of all the millionaires in the United States, right? But the Asians have a much smaller population, yet their millionaire threshold is much higher. And then same with the Hispanics a bit, they're much higher. And so I think the only group out of this, say 4 criterias or 3 criterias is really just the black population that we need to do a much better job of increasing our financial literacy, our awareness, and making sure we're investing in assets. If we look at the data by age, most millionaires in the US are between the age of 60 and 79. In fact, 2/3, right? 2 out of 3 of all the millionaires inside the United States are actually within that age cohort of 60 to 79. Now, yes, this makes a whole lot of sense when you think about it, right? Because generally, most people, they work throughout a majority of their life, and then in retirement, they should be having assets, right? And so for most people that are 60 to 79, chances are they're with the group that was able to pay off their entire house, or maybe they bought their house when the houses were $50,000, right, for a huge mansion, or $100,000 for a huge mansion. That's not the case today, but if they've been able to acquire real estate for 3 to 4 decades, yes, they're gonna be much more financially healthy, and they're gonna have a lot of wealth, right? Because some people don't even own mortgage no more, right? And so that is huge. And then if they have 401ks, assuming they've worked for 30, 40 years, they've been contributing to a company provided 401k, or in some cases they even have pensions, right? So that's a huge money maker. And it's just a different world, right? Inflation is much higher, interest rates are crazier now, and so it makes sense to see that the majority of the wealthy folks in the United States are of that senior age level. And don't miss out. This is why you want to make sure you're investing and buying stocks and investing in the stock market, because there's so much wealth that will be passed down from this age of 60 to 79 folks, right? They're going to pass it down to the next generation, which is the millennials, their children. And so there's a lot of money to be passed down, and that money is going to increase and build so much wealth for many, many generations to come. So you want to make sure you invest your money. Also, at those ages, right? Like, even if they had kids, their kids are already old. They've moved out. They started their own life, their own careers. And so you have an empty nest. What is it? Empty nest egg. That's what the saying is, right? So at that point, the expenses are relatively low. If they are in good health, they don't have much medical bills. And so they've accumulated quite a significant amount of financial wealth and assets over the decades. On the flip side, the numbers make sense. If we're young, if I'm 30, I'm 25, I'm 20, I'm just not going to be able to, for the most part, amass as much wealth and contribute to as much wealth as somebody who's been living for 60 plus years and have worked and made way more money throughout their working lifetime. It's just not going to happen. And then plus the newer generation, millennials, Gen Z, and so forth, a lot of us are saddled with so much debt from student loans, from all these other things that's happening, right? Houses are basically unaffordable. So even somebody making 100K is going to have a hard time being able to afford a house, right? And rates are significantly higher. Again, inflation is significantly higher as well. So, these are some of the things that are headwinds that are making it difficult, for our generation, millennials, and the generation right after us to, get married earlier, have children earlier, build families, right? Even weddings are super expensive. So when you look at, cars are expensive. When you look at all the things that's really adding a lot of weight and pressure on us and our ability to build wealth, it makes sense as to why many of us are having a difficult time when it comes to being able to save, pay off debt, and invest, whether it's in real estate or in the stock market. The age group that have the second most millionaires in the United States, and they account for about 23% of the millionaires in the United States, are those that are between the age of 50 and 59, right? Which makes a whole lot of sense. And then aside from that, the third group is really a smaller percentage of those that are in their 40s. Again, as you get older, that makes a lot of sense because your earning power goes up. And chances are, if you've been strategic and you've been financially responsible and you've saved and invested, because of compound interest, each decade, you're basically tripling to quadrupling your net worth or your asset column over each decade. And if you do that long enough, it's just a matter of time, right? So the younger you come down, the less wealth or the fewer people are millionaires. Interesting fact is that the first 100 richest individuals earned their first $1 million at the age of 37, which is quite impressive, right? And granted, majority of them are business owners, real estate owners, or the money was passed down to them. But most of them are really business owners that really founded a company, built it from the ground up, and they've succeeded and done really, really well. And so they were able to touch $1 million net worth by the age of 37. So if you're not a millionaire yet, it's all good. It's all right. It's okay. I don't want you to hear that and be like, oh my God, I'm 25, I'm 30, I'm 35, I'm 40, and I'm nowhere near $1 million in net worth, or I'm not part of this group. It doesn't matter. You know why? Because the average age where people become millionaires, based on the entire population in the United States, is the age of 57. Okay? So there's no shortcut to it. Some people just get there a little bit quicker because they have more resources, access, better careers, or they didn't have as much headwinds or certain challenges, or they were able to invest much earlier, or they built something. Just because you're not there doesn't mean you're not doing the right things. Just because the numbers don't seem to put you in a better light, it doesn't mean that you are behind the ball. Again, average millionaire became a millionaire at the age of 57. So we are all early. Just to recap, as of 2023, 42% of millionaires inside the United States come from the baby boomer generation, which are the cohort that is between the age of 57 to 75. Okay. When it comes to millennials, which is my generation, and that's those that are between the age of 18 to 31, only about 19% of my generation and group by age are millionaires in the United States. Now I'm turning 31 August 27th, and I'm super excited. I'm gonna be in Canada celebrating, in Toronto specifically. So if you're from Canada, holla at your boy. And at the time of this recording, I am not part of that 19% of millionaires. of millennial millionaires inside the United States yet, but I'm very hopeful that in the near future I will be increasing that statistic and making more millennials proud. And if I can do it, that means guess what? That you can do it and other people can do it. That's why I love doing what I do on this channel and talking about money, because we need to speak on these experiences and we need to help each other also become millionaires. So we've covered ethnicity, race, and we've also covered age, but let's talk about how do they get there, right? Because to get somewhere, you need a primary source of fuel, right? To drive your car from point A to point B, you're gonna need gas and you're gonna need some engine, okay? It doesn't matter how old the car is or how young the car is, or if the color of the car is black or the color of the car is white or the color of the car is red. Doesn't matter. You need gas and you need engine. So what are some of the gas slash engine vehicles that allow individuals to really speed up the process of building wealth and becoming a millionaire? And it is my firm belief that education truly is the best and biggest equalizer. So let's talk about some of the statistics of the type of education, type of degrees, the level of schooling that is associated with people that tend to end up becoming millionaires in their lifetime. 88% of millionaires graduated from college, and in contrast, only 33% of the entire US population actually has a college degree. So a lot of people these days, you hear a lot on social media, college is a scam. That is complete BS, because the majority, 88% of millionaires have a college degree, okay? College is not a scam. Now, if you go and study something that is not in demand, that doesn't provide you high-level income skills, and then you have a lot of student loans, yes, I can understand how that can be and how it can feel, because guess what? I've lived that myself until I pivoted into getting my MBA, and now I work in corporate finance, and I love it because it has allowed me to develop certain important skill sets that are in demand. It allows me to continue growing. I'm around a better network and net worth individuals, and so I'm able to learn more. And my income has gotten much better, so I'm able to actually invest aggressively into my portfolios, whether it's 401k, whether it's my taxable brokerage accounts or my Roth IRAs, to speed up that wealth building process. So yes, education is the number one and most important wealth equalizer, engine, gas that's going to get you from A to B. If you're at the age where you're thinking about going to college, or maybe you're in a career, or you don't really have a career, but you want to change things up and go back to school, I would recommend doing some important research on some of the top 4, top 5 degrees or skills that is required to earn really, really good income. That way, by the time you come out of school, you can make good money right out the gate. You can put yourself in the right environment, and you can scale your income and scale your investments. So 88% have a college degree, 62% graduated from a state or public school. So think about that, right? Sometimes we might think, okay, somebody went to a private school, went to an Ivy League, right? Went to a private university, private high school, and so they have all the advantages and the edge in the world. Yes, it does provide certain access or certain environment or network and so forth, which is important, hands down. But based on the survey statistics, we can see that the majority of people that are millionaires actually went to public institutions. And so if you're going to a public institution, just because you're not in an Ivy League school doesn't mean you're not going to do well, right? It doesn't mean you can't actually get to the same level, or if not higher. So keep that in mind. And lastly, 52% have master's degree. So when you think about it, the education piece is so important, right? 88% have a college degree. Majority of them graduated from a public institution, and half of them have a master's degree. And I happen to be one of those half, because I don't have $1 million net worth yet, but I do have the master's to back it up, right? And so I think my master's is actually right there. My MBA is right there on the side there. You might see it a tiny little bit in the video, but again, I can't stress this enough. Education, education, education. In real estate, they say location, location, location. And being able to increase your earning power is education, education, education. Being able to invest is the same thing. Education, education, education. Don't skip that step. That's what financial literacy is about. That's why it's important to read books, take some courses, watch some of these videos I post on YouTube and on Instagram and Twitter and everything of that nature. It's going to help you grow and develop. So education is not just your 4-year college or your high school, your traditional institutions. It's also self-development, right? Take the initiative to continue to improve your skill sets, challenge your beliefs, challenge your perspective, get the skills and learn the things you don't know, and stay open-minded, because that's what's going to help you get to that stage and reach your financial goals and dreams. Okay, it is my firm belief that for a majority of scenarios, a majority of people, if they're going to reach $1 million net worth, it has less to do with their earning power and their income, and it has more to do with their brain, right? It's how they invested in their brain and how their brain is telling them to make decisions. That is such a big piece of the puzzle. Stay educated. All right, let's talk about gender, okay? 33% of the millionaires in the US are women, which is kind of lit. I am excited for this. The ladies are killing it. I mean, they're going to school, they're getting master's degrees, they're starting businesses, they're taking financial literacy serious, they're investing their money, they're hustling, they're working 2 jobs and whatever, and they're doing what they got to do to make sure that they are securing the bag for themselves and for future generations. And I think it's a beautiful thing to see, because we've seen throughout history and time where women have had to navigate some really, really difficult challenges. And so for them to be in a position where they have things a bit more equitable, right? They have more access like everybody else, and they can, pursue careers along with traditional values, whether you want to call it homemaker, whatever you want to call it, family, or whatever, right? They can do both. And so it's nice to see that women are also getting to the bag, right? So because as a guy, if you find a partner that's able to also get to the bag, right? Bring the bacon home, and you share responsibilities, and you kind of do what works best for your relationship and the family dynamic you want to have. There's no bigger cheat code in building wealth fast than having 2 people unite and put all their resources together. And that is the highway, my friend. So shout out to all the ladies that are killing it. But always be a little bit cautious, right? Because sometimes when we make money, we might think we're better than somebody else, or we start treating people differently, and we start our ego, certain things come in play. So, not make your money, shawty. Don't get me wrong. Make your paper, but just make sure that as you make your paper, you're not allowing the money to become your personality, right? Like, you're not leading with those things, because if you're looking for a certain type of family structure and a family dynamic, unfortunately, you don't want to disqualify potential mates and partners that can really be amazing for your life journey, that can handle things, that's going to make sure everything is good. You don't want to, put yourself at a disadvantage just because you have these degrees, just because you make money, just because X, Y. Life is more than just black and white. It's more than numbers, and I'm learning that as time goes on as well. So just remain open-minded, stay humble, be confident, enjoy your life, but understand that it takes teamwork, and in teamwork, there are sacrifices that have to be made by all parties. Interestingly enough, 20% of all of the 401k accounts at Fidelity, which I have my 401k at Fidelity too, 20% of all those accounts that are at millionaire status are held by women, okay? And the average age for women to become millionaires is 58.5. And for men is about 59 to 60, which is interesting, because there could be a lot of factors and variables there, right? But I think from what I'm thinking right now at this present moment as I'm recording this, I can see why it makes sense that it takes maybe men a tiny bit longer to reach that level, because at the end of the day, as men, our role in society really don't shift, they don't change, right? Our duty is to provide and protect our family, and really, and it's such a beautiful thing to do, and it's an honor, right? It's a privilege. And so a lot of guys in general, their resources don't really go towards, say, just building wealth or just things that they want to do with it, right? It's going towards investing in the family, investing in the kids and the children, and taking care of the wife, and all the things that's needed financially and protective wise and provision wise, right? So most dudes don't really, either they don't have much money remaining after all their financial obligations, or most of us don't really spend money much anyway, but I've realized it's so important that as a man, that if you want to have a family or you want to build that generational wealth and have your children do well, you're gonna have to invest, and the sooner you start investing, the better. But I love it. I like the fact that both men are building wealth, women are also building wealth. And I know one of the most popular things going around right now is this 50-50 debate, right? Like, are we splitting the bills evenly or whatever? I'm a big believer that at the end of the day, overall is really 100-100. And sometimes we have to be careful about keeping things black and white and putting like a fixated number on something, right? Because life is, if you ain't learned nothing in life, at least learn that life is way more, and it's really a spectrum, and there are times and frames and moments where things switch, right? It can be 50-50 today. It might be 100-0 the other day, because your partner lost their job, or your partner's hurt, they can't work, or it might be 20-80. It changes all the time. I think the most important thing is that you and your partner have candid, honest, open dialogue and conversations about these things, and you figure out what works best for you too. Not what you see on the podcast, because most of these people on the podcast are broke. They're not married. They're not in healthy relationships, and they just be on podcasts chatting about things that they really don't know about. Because those that are really in relationships, that are doing well financially, they're a little bit more humble and respect the art of life itself, because they know that it could always be worse. And so just keep some of these things in mind a little bit as you navigate. Do what works best for you and your relationship, and ignore all the outside noise. Because in 2024, it is spooky out here. Life is difficult as hell, and it is much harder to try and do it all by yourself when you can work together with somebody who values you and respects you, and you can get so much further with less headache. So give it a shot. With all these millionaires, where do they work at? What do they do? How do they make money? We know that they went to school, which is cool, but where the money coming from? And I found out that 15% of them hold senior leadership roles. And I'm talking about, this is the C-suite. We're talking about vice presidents, right? CEOs, CFOs, really the top third of the organization chart, right, in terms of corporate America. And so that kind of makes sense too, right? Because they make the most money. I mean, because their job requires more skill, more supervision / managerial, and how to manage people, but also understanding whatever business or industry that they're in at a high level, in a way that it can create a certain culture, it can drive results, it can drive efficiency and effectiveness, and in turn, right, produces more success for the business. And so, yeah, it makes sense that top group, those leaderships, the people in those leadership roles, it makes sense that they make the most money. And there's some sirens going on outside. Hopefully they ain't coming from me. Now, yes, just because they make the most money, I don't want you to walk around thinking every senior leader person is making 100,000 plus. The craziest thing is 1/3 of these folks never made more than $100,000. Okay, and another 1/3 makes around $100,000. It's a very few that actually make 200 plus, 300, 400,000 dollars plus. Okay, so don't be fooled. People keep talking, oh, 100K is not a lot of money, or 6 figures is not a lot. They are out of their mind. Not even 11% of the population in the United States have a 6-figure income salary right now. Okay, so 6 figures is still a lot of money. It cannot buy as much as it used to 10, 20, 30 years ago, but it is still a lot of money, because the average person right now, average worker, is not even earning $70,000 today. Okay, so if you're making 100K, be excited about that, be proud, and yeah, maybe you can make more, true, but at the end of the day, if you make more but you can't keep any, you can't save none, and your debt is taking all your money away, you're never gonna build wealth. Okay, so 6 figures is a lot of money. I don't care what you see on social media. I always give it to you straight, and I give it to you real. Ignore all those people talk about 6 figures is not a lot of money. Because my parents worked their ass off for 30 plus years in the United States, and they never touched 6 figures in a year. What job are these millionaires doing? When I did the research and dove further into it, we came up with 5 careers that are held by millionaires the most. Okay, so one of them is engineering. Another one of them is accounting, which is your CPAs, right? And engineering makes sense, because I mean, hello, it's a wrap. Without engineers, it's a wrap. Okay, we're cooked. And then accounting makes a lot of sense, right? Because every business, every organization, you need people that understand the money, the movement of money, how the money impacts the business operations, how to help improve the books, and all these other things that needs to happen so that a company can continue doing well, or if they're not doing well, get to the point where they can do better, right? So CPAs, they will always have a job no matter what. And then you have tax season, right? Tax season gets crazy. They make a lot of money there. They can work privately. They can work for a corporation and still run their own thing on the side. They just have unlimited opportunities and unlimited income to a degree. And then another one of those 5 jobs is law, right? Law is important, especially these days, whether you're dealing with HR, whether you're dealing with class action lawsuits, whether you're dealing with all different types of litigation challenges. Companies need lawyers out the wazoo. Individuals need lawyers. All businesses need lawyers. Law is everywhere. You need it, right? Because we have policies, we have regulations, we have governance, and you need people that understand all of these intricate pieces to help protect the business, help protect their clients. So law is one of them. Surprisingly, the other 2 jobs that are held by millionaires the most is managerial roles, right? Meaning, let's say they're a manager at a region or something like that. And then teachers, which is crazy, right? Teachers are in the top 5 jobs held by millionaires in the United States. And I'm actually glad that, teachers are a dark horse in this, right? Many of us wouldn't assume or expect that. But I'm glad that teachers in there, because their job, many of the hard work and what they do to ensure that these kids are getting adequate education, proper development goes unnoticed and unappreciated. So I'm glad that they're at least getting compensated. And sometimes they don't even get compensated in terms of salary. I know the benefits are really good, right? And that's what pushes them to that threshold. But especially in 2024, what teachers got to deal with is very difficult, right? A lot of difficult things are happening. They're being yelled at. They're being cursed out by students. Students are putting their hands on teachers, right? They're throwing stuff at teachers. Parents are making it complicated as well. And the school systems, depending on what environment it is teachers have a really difficult job and task right now. And I don't think they get paid enough. I always say this: teachers and pilots are 2 of those professions that I don't think ever get paid enough, no matter what it is, because the role that they play and the importance of what they do is insane. I don't even know how you can quantify that on a dollar base amount. What I just finished speaking on was really the careers that millionaires are taking on. Right now, I'm going to speak about the industry that produces the most millionaires and so forth. And the first is the finance and investment industry, and that produces the most millionaires out of everything and everybody, okay? In fact, there's about 371 billionaires that are produced through the finance and investing industry. So that's the number 1 industry that most people go into, and that is the industry that I'm currently in. I work in corporate finance right now, and that's because I enjoy talking about finance. I enjoy talking about money. I enjoy learning about business in of itself, and I want it to be in an environment where I can actually grow and learn things at a higher level and get really, really good at it. Not for money's sake, but for my growth's sake, right? Because I'm just simply passionate about this. Number 2 industry, which many people might think it should actually be number 1, is technology, okay? The technology industry is booming, and it will continue to boom because everything is tech dependent. Now we're in this generative AI, a lot of artificial intelligence and these capabilities and modeling and functions being added to the ecosystem and the business landscape. We're talking about data centers, GPUs, CPUs. We're talking about AI and hardware. Apple just recently announced, some of the features and capabilities that they're gonna be using with their Apple Intelligence AI, right? And how that can really be taken advantage of or utilized by their 2 billion plus iPhone and Apple active users of their hardware and products, right? Microsoft recently did the same thing as well. Spoke about how they're incorporating Copilot and a lot of things in their hardware and products, their laptops and so forth. So the technology industry is going to be booming for a very long time to come, and so they have the ability to actually make people wealthy quickly, especially through stock options. Same with the finance too, especially through stock options and bonuses and packages and high level salaries, because they make a lot of money. So they can afford to pay a lot of money for the brightest and the best people in the technological field. And that's an area that advances so quickly. So it's like you got to be in tip-top shape. You got to be on your A game. You got to be at the leading edge and the front. We've seen what NVIDIA is doing, and we're going to see more companies follow suit. Manufacturing is another industry that produces a ton of millionaires, and then followed by retail and the fashion industry, which is crazy, right? Look at LVMH. When you look at some of these luxury brands, luxury goods, these fashion and retail brands and stuff like that, they make so much money. There's so much money there. Why? Because people just keep buying more clothes, They can make a Gucci bag for what, $20 and charge you $1,000, and some people are gonna buy it simply because of the branding, the marketing, right, the status, and how they feel when they on how they look, how others perceive them to be as successful and wealthy when they have some of these products and goods. So the retail and fashion industry is one of those areas that makes so much money. It's ridiculous. So I mean, to each their own. I think if you have enough clothes and you're wearing about 60 to 70% of your clothes, you're doing pretty well. Of course, you might add a few things here and there. Your size might change. You might gain weight. You might lose weight. You can get taller. All these things can happen. And especially for women, right? This size and shape literally is in a constant state of metamorphosis. It's always changing and stuff. So, I understand why people need these things. So I get it. But we can also be a little bit reasonable and intentional about how we go about spending money when it comes to the retail and the fashion stuff. So again, but they do make a lot of money. That's an industry that makes a lot of money. Lastly, we got healthcare, which is also a no-brainer because without healthcare, many of us would be in trouble. And when we think about healthcare, we tend to focus only on human health, right? But human health is obviously the biggest piece in the entire healthcare. It's a lot of diseases, illnesses, viruses, just a bunch of things that we have to make sure that we are creating drugs, and preventative measures, proactive measures, or reducing certain chronic issues, especially if we talk about oncology, cardiovascular disease, we talk about tumors, all different types of tumors, all different types of blood diseases, lung diseases, just a plethora of diseases. And so you need so much R&D going on in the healthcare industry as it is. And even within that, right, it's like a decision tree in terms of it branches out into, you have the healthcare industry, then you have like the pharmaceutical industry within the healthcare, and then you have your doctors and your PCPs and your ACOs, and you have your PBMs, right, which is your insurance companies, and the middlemen people that kind of facilitate the relationship / transaction between the actual drug makers and the hospitals / the patient, and how much the patient actually pays for a drug, right? Then you have your hospitals, you have your doctors, you have your nurses. So within healthcare is broad, but healthcare makes so much money because it is essential. It can never sleep. Every nation will always invest in it. Every business, every healthcare company will always invest in it. Every pharmaceutical company, at least big pharma, will always invest in it because it's essential. But again, we tend to only focus on human health, but we forget that we need to focus on agriculture as well, right? We need our companion friends, right, which is our dogs, our pets, our cats, fish, snakes, right? We talk about the vet. We're talking about food that we eat, things that we eat, right? So whether it's poultry, whether it's pork, whether it's chickens, whether it's cows, whether it's beef, farmland, pesticide, like there's so many things when you think about the healthcare industry. And so don't limit your scope in thinking, okay, like nursing is the only thing that is a good job in healthcare. It's not. Okay, there's a lot of things. Africans always go to nursing school. Every African parent go nursing, nursing or doctor. If not nursing, doctor, engineering, or accountant or law. That's it. Nothing else. But almost 80% of the African population here nursing, because there's that job security. There's great income. There's a lot of opportunity to make a lot of money and become a millionaire quickly, right? And you also have some flexibility, especially if you decide, hey, maybe you want to do travel nursing, or you're working 3 days on the rest off. You can work part-time. You can work per diem. You can work 2 full-time jobs. There's just more flexibility and security there. So that's why African parents always tell you to go to nursing school. They mean well. Number 6 and 7 is really food and beverage, right? So food and beverage is really one together. So let's say number 6 is food and beverage, and then number 7 is actually real estate. And so when we look at, if you've been on my channel for long enough and you watch some of the videos, if you haven't, make sure you go check them out. I am the biggest advocate for stock market investing as the primary source of building wealth first, because all the industries I just listed, guess what? They're all in the stock market, right? And they all already own real estate as well, because they operate in buildings, they lease buildings, commercial properties, private properties, properties that they own themselves, whatever it is. But they're all trading on in the stock market. And so you can own a piece of that business without actually having to do too much. So I'm the biggest advocate in terms of wealth building. To me, the number one wealth building tool is really the stock market, right? After that, it's followed by real estate, and everything else follows suit. Now, granted, yes, you need to get a job or you need to make income so you can put your money in the stock market. right? But as you can see, even in this list, the first 6 is really businesses, all of them businesses, right? And then real estate is in the 7th position. So I'm not saying pick one or the other, but do with the information whatever you will. Okay, do whatever you want. So we've covered a lot, but it is important to touch on some of the practical habits and behavior and decision making that goes into becoming a millionaire. Okay, and this is something that some of these habits I started practicing and doing about a decade ago when I first kind of got curious about investing, about money, about how do people get to that millionaire status, not just financially, right? But because to get there, to see it in your bank account, to see it in your portfolios, you yourself have to adopt and change the way you think, the way you behave, the decisions you're making, and your actions. So let's take a dive at a few of them, because I know if you're watching this, I'm pretty sure you want to do well financially, even if you don't want to become a millionaire. And maybe you could learn a thing or two from these lists and do it too. 63% of millionaire people actually listen to podcasts, right? And that is so cool because podcasts are probably one of the best and fastest ways of receiving information, current events, things going on around the world, but also getting a really nice, easy, palatable information on subject matters or things that you care about, that you want to listen to or you're passionate about, right? And so I listen to podcasts myself. I have about 4 that I listen to. One of them is centered on purely just health habits, right? Like whether it's hygiene, whether it's oral hygiene, whether it's nutrition, right? Exercise, types of exercise. So that's all in one podcast, but they have a bunch of different episodes. And then I have one that kind of speaks to more so the economic market and how things are going on a weekly basis. It kind of gives you like a weekly recap, right? Like, so I don't have to be in articles 24/7. Get a nice little weekly recap, and they post daily as well, so that's cool. And then the third one is a mixture between current events going on around the world related to the economy, and some personal, like the host, some of their thought processes and some of the things that's happening. So that's cool. And then I have the fourth one is really on much more on a global scale in terms of not just the economy globally, but other things that are happening all over the world, right? Whether it's elections, whether it's war, whether it's tension over here, whether there is new development. And some of them really dive into like specific issues in different countries, right? So you can think of that last one as like a BBC World News kind of thing. So I'll be more than happy to share and speak on those podcasts later, or if you want me to put it if you want me to share them in the comment, just leave a comment saying, hey, what podcast do you listen to? Like, share the link with us, and I'll be more than happy to share it with you. Let's continue. 85% of millionaires read at least 2 books a month. Okay, so all the time I've been telling y'all, you better pick up some books and read. I'm not saying it because I sound cool or I sound smart. I'm not saying it because it sounds good to just say. I'm saying it because it is part of the fabric of building wealth, changing our mindset, improving our financial health and our physical and mental health. Okay, so 85% of millionaires, they read 2 books a month. Now think about it. If they're already millionaires, they're already doing well in life, why do you think they keep reading, right? There's something in those books. That's one of the things that was one of the first things I learned about millionaires before I began my financial literacy and stock market investing journey a decade ago, right? I figured, okay, if these millionaires are reading all the time, there's something in there. So I also began reading, and I can promise you, 300 plus books later and a bunch of courses later, 10 years later, where I'm at today, I am so appreciative and glad that I took on the habit of reading, because it teaches you everything that they're not teaching you in school, that your parents don't know because they don't have it. It's just, life happens, right? And nobody's going to just drop everything they got going on to come and teach you some of these skills and habits and mindsets and behaviors and things that you need to build the life that you want to build. But guess what? Somebody has done it and they've put it inside a book. So you're better off paying $10, $15, $20 to read a book, because what that $20 investment in your brain and knowledge and skill is going to do for you is going to make you more money than almost anything else. So please, I urge you to read. You're reading every day anyway. You're on social media, you're on Instagram, you're on Twitter. You're reading every day. You might as well read, along with all those entertainment reading, Read on some things that's really gonna help you build wealth and become a millionaire. Guess what? 75% of millionaires work out at least 30 minutes a day. 30 minutes a day, okay? That's all it takes. Why? Because they've realized that in order for you to actually do well in your job, be sharp mentally, be strong, and have the energy to do what needs to be done to reach millionaire status, guess what? You have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your body and your mind. And through physical exercise, you improve your ability to handle those things. Not only that, but what's the point of having all the money and you're not even in good health? Good health is everything, right? You could be a millionaire or halfway there to a millionaire or not, or nowhere near being millionaire status, but it is so important that you remain healthy. And remaining healthy has nothing to do with your financial resources or getting to a millionaire status. It's just for your life, period, right? You just want to maintain a healthy lifestyle because it's going to allow you to actually enjoy life and have a better outlook on life. And then that exercise compounds, just same way your investments compound over time. If you live 50 years of never exercising or taking care of yourself well, you're gonna suffer. Even if you have an additional 30 years, what is gonna be the quality of those extra 30 years, right? So definitely take care of yourself because the people with money are doing it, and it's important that you do it as well. Because if you don't, you're gonna spend all your money trying to just nurse yourself back to health every single time. I myself, before I even recorded this, I went out and got a run in, did some push-ups, ran back home, did my yoga. And so at the least, even if you can't physically run on a daily or hit the gym on a daily, try to get a workout in at least 2 to 3 times a week. If you can do yoga 3 to 4 times, Pilates. I know a lot of ladies like it's different variations of physical activity, right? So Pilates is one of those things. Dance class is one of those. And what is the one, the bike thingy, right? They'll be on the bike doing all the synchronized stuff. That's cool too, right? Just make sure that you're getting physical activity, get the heart rate up, lift some weights, right? You need to definitely lift some weights because it makes your bones stronger, it makes your muscles stronger, so when you get older, you're not too fragile. But yeah, the wealthy folks are exercising, they're working out. You better get your butt outside, especially this summer. Get going. This is one of the coolest statistics, actually. So 20% of millionaires are retirees, meaning they're retired, but 80%, they're millionaires too, but they still go to work every single day. And that goes to show you that just because when you become a millionaire, it doesn't mean that you're just going to quit a life and you're not going to contribute to anything. It's not like you're just going to sit there and wait to die, right? Because sometimes a lot of people view successful people that are financially successful as evil or greedy. But guess what? Some of these folks are in positions where they're so comfortable they can actually do whatever they want when they want and not have to work ever again in their entire life. Yet they will still wake up every day and go and work and contribute to something. And you'll be surprised, many of them, they get to that stage and then they start their own business, right? Because they want to help other people also get to that level, or they want to provide those that don't have access or the less fortunate some resources, some tools, some assistance, some help. And so they go out with their own blood, sweat, money, and they build something to help other people. That is the beauty of building wealth, because when you get to a certain stage, now you can give more, you can share more, you can help more people. And to me, that's one of the most noble and important reasons why we all should aspire to have more resources that we need and want, because now we can influence and help make the changes that we wish to see in this world with our own 2 hands and our own bank accounts. And you know what I mean? 67% of millionaires watch TV less than 60 minutes, right? And this includes Netflix, the news, Hulu, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime Video, Apple TV, Peacock, Paramount, HBO Max. We have a lot of streaming services right now. But anyway, they watch less than 60 minutes a day of TV. Why? It's actually a waste of time. Significantly a waste of time, right? A lot of times we distract ourselves from the reality in our world and the life we're living by just indulging in entertainment and stuff like that. Again, by all means, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with watching some entertainment, enjoying some shows, some exciting series and stuff like that. I do that myself, but I don't spend a good amount of time just watching these shows and spending time on entertainment, especially when there are other things that I'd rather spend my time doing, which is whether spending quality time with my life partner, spending quality time with family, calling on people I care about, see how they're doing. Just giving my brain a rest, right? Like there's so many things that's distracting us 24/7. I want to be intentional with my time, with my mind, with my energy, with my willpower. And so I want to focus on things that really matter. And of course, occasionally I'll indulge and have some fun and watch a show that just popped out. Right now we got The Boys is out, right? And then The House of Dragons just came out. So I'll be catching up on those, but I'm not going to make those part of my, in terms of my daily routine and the hours and time that I put into things. The television is not really going to be a big part of that. And I don't think it should be for majority of us either. Remember, one of my first lines in this video was that to become a millionaire is hard work. It truly is. The majority of millionaires actually work 50 plus hours a week. Okay? A week. So they're not just doing their 40 hours and just clocking out. They're not just happy to be here. Some of them are working insane amount of hours. Sometimes 50, 60, 80 is ridiculous. So yes, people that get to that level, there are few people that are just handed that opportunity or handed those riches and assets. But majority of them are self-made and they worked their butt off. They put in so much hours and they made a lot of sacrifices to be in the position that they're in. So sometimes we get it twisted. We might think, yeah, we work hard, but you gotta understand, if you want to get to a certain level, you have to put in a different type of work, right? If you have a business, you're not working 30 hours. Your business is gonna die. If you have a business, you're working more. You're working around the clock, basically, right? And if you're in certain fields and you want to build wealth quickly, you're gonna put in 50, 60 hours. You're gonna just go ham. That's just part of it. So yes, to become a millionaire, it takes extreme hard work. And so it is not for the weak and it is not for the lazy. Now, as you're working hard, you want to make sure your money's working hard as well. That's why you want to invest in stocks, build some index funds in your 401k and get in the stock market, okay? Because you can't be working that hard and your money is not working 10 times harder, right? Are you working for the money or is the money working for you? What's up? This is something I've talked about a lot, which is having a financial plan. Okay, you can't just guess and keep all the numbers and everything in your head. It does not work. So 70% of millionaires actually use a financial plan, right? Whether it's a budget tool, they write down their finances, both the asset column, liabilities column. They have a monthly budget that they review on a monthly basis. Some people do it bi-weekly. I think 30 minutes to an hour a month is good enough. And so you need to have a plan so you'll be able to track your progress over time. That's how you know when to adjust, how to adjust. Now, I know budgeting can be difficult if someone is not familiar or someone has just don't know how to go about, managing their money well. If they have a habit of mismanaging it or they come from a background that never taught them, right? So it can be complex. And if you need help with that, feel free to let me know. Leave me a comment and I'll send you my budget template for free, and it comes with a tutorial video that teaches you how to actually use it. The last statistic is really that 79% of millionaires are first generation millionaires, right? Meaning their parents didn't pass down a house to them, they didn't pass down a 401k or a stock portfolio to them. They built it from the ground up. And so you might think you're behind, you might think your parents didn't do enough or they should have done more, but guess what? Every parent try to do the best they can with what they have or what they know. And so us knowing more in this day and age, we have an obligation, a duty, and a responsibility to ourselves and the future generation to really maximize the opportunity that we have. Again, 79% of millionaires build it from the ground up. And so you might be building it from the ground up today and you're seeing how difficult and how hard it is. And I just want to tip my hat to you to continue going on that journey, to keep encouraging you, because guess what? Somebody has to break the cycle in these chains, and I'm glad that you're doing it. I'm glad that I'm doing it, and my goal is to help more people break some of these cycles. That brings us to the end of this video. I hope you learned a lot about some of the statistics and the habits and the decisions and the roles that millionaires take on in order to reach that financial threshold. Also, some of the research that I did, I will leave the surveys and the links in the caption section, so you can go verify and fact check those sources yourself, and you can maybe do additional research. If you have any questions about millionaires, their statistics, their habits, anything that they got going on, and you feel like you want to share it, leave it in a comment below. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up, hit the like button, turn on your notification button so you don't miss future episodes, and feel free to share the link with anybody and everyone else that is willing to make progress in this area of life. So until next time, enjoy and happy investing.